Embrace the power of knowledge at Sanskriti University, ranked first in most promising university in engineering and management in India. Visit www.sanskriti.
No, I mean, Nepal has always been an independent country, but the British, because of their own great game, which was going on at that time, international great game जो चल रहा था, they decided first at the time of the East India Company, then when the British government took over India, that they should keep Nepal as an independent sovereign country. They should not try to interfere with that, but they should make sure that Nepal does not pose any kind of a security problem for them. And they were not interested in democracy in Nepal, they were not interested in development in Nepal, and they wanted Nepal to be totally isolated from the world. So वहाँ पे वो Rana family had been in power for a long time. वहाँ पे the monarchy was a virtual prisoner. नाम के लिए था, लेकिन there was no power, no particular status for the monarchy. It was when India became independent और अंग्रेज़ों ने ये काठमांडू वैली जो elite है, 4-5 families which had been in power, which are very influential in Nepal for a long time, उनके दिमाग में ये डाल दिया था कि भारत एक बहुत ख़तरनाक देश है, you should not trust Indians. तो ये एंटी इंडियन फीलिंग तब से पैदा हुआ था. जब when India became independent, there were Nepalese fighters for democracy in Nepal who fought side by side with our own freedom fighters. They went to jail with us from different parties, including the Koirala family and Manmohan Adhikari, who was a communist leader. They went to jail for the cause of Indian freedom. So there were very close bonds between democratic leaders, those who were fighting for democracy in Nepal, and our own political leaders. So when India became independent, Panditji very much wanted to end Nepal's isolation. वो चाहते थे that Nepal should come on the world stage. Nepal should become a member of the United Nations. Nepal should be treated with full respect as a sovereign country. That the Rana oligarchy should be ended and the king should come back. King Tribhuvan should come back as a constitutional monarch and democracy should be restored. So Panditji was very clear, all the Indian political leaders were very clear, and it was basically an Indian initiative that King Tribhuvan was able to escape to India. He went supposedly on a picnic with his family, except for Gyanendra, his brother, his son, who stayed on in Kathmandu. But Mahendra and the other children, including Birendra and so on, they were smuggled out to the Indian embassy and then brought to India. वो हैदराबाद हाउस में रुके कई दिन तक. And then India began negotiations with the Ranas who were in power, and it was agreed that democracy would be restored, that King Tribhuvan would go back, and the Rana oligarchy ended. So it started that way, but then China became prominent. The annexation of Tibet took place, and they started laying claim to parts of India, to Bhutan, to Sikkim, to Nepal. And India had to be very, very careful about security concerns in Nepal. It wanted the Himalayas to be a kind of a barrier between India and China, and India and Nepal to cooperate in that. So while democracy was restored to Nepal and development was brought to Nepal by India in a big way, जो पहले एयरपोर्ट बने, अस्पताल बने, रास्ते बने, यूनिवर्सिटी बने, all that happened because of India. पहला पोस्ट ऑफिस जो बना इंडियन एम्बेसी में बना. लेकिन डेवलपमेंट के साथ साथ वो यूनाइटेड नेशंस के भी मेंबर बन गए नेपाल, ऑल्दो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स वाज नॉट इंटरेस्टेड. But India had to be very watchful about the expansion of democracy in Nepal. And that is how, slowly but surely, the misunderstanding began, especially after King Tribhuvan died. Then Mahendra took over. And Mahendra was very clear that democracy was a threat to the monarchy eventually. तो monarchy और पैलेस के बीच में टेंशन शुरू हुआ. भारत डेमोक्रेसी को सपोर्ट करता था, तो भारत और मोनार्की के बीच में भी टेंशन शुरू हो गया और ये एंटी इंडियनिज्म धीरे धीरे फैलता गया. एंड देन आफ्टर दैट देयर इज अ लॉन्ग स्टोरी ऑफ मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग्स, टेंशंस, misperceptions, mistakes on one side or the other. We have tried to go into that in great depth in the book.